Welcome to this week of the One Trail Live podcast. I am your host, Boogie, and today uh, we're doing something a little different, but it's still the same. We're keeping with the theme of uh, being outdoors, more or less. And today I want to talk to everyone about n- saving your money and buying a dehydrator. It's been one of the most beneficial things that I have done uh, thus far in my outdoor adventuring lifestyle. Possibly, it might be it might be a tad bit of a stretch. Before we really get started, hit me up in the comments section. Who's with me today? Let me know who's out there, who's watching. Hit that thumbs up also. If you feel the inkling, also share it in with Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Share me up, share me up. We're trying to grow here. I'm trying to get some I'm trying to get knowledge out to everyone so we can do better in the community of e-biking and camping, and hopefully we can learn from each other's mistakes. And one way that we do that is having starting a dialogue and comment sections on all platforms. Hey Chris, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad you can join me tonight. I know I was MIA last week, but that was only because we had some great weather here in Missouri and I went camping. You have to forgive me. And I tend to do that from time to time. The way that my work schedule is, anytime that I can jump ship, I'm swimming for the shore. So just keep that in mind. I apologize for not getting back with you, but I appreciate you checking in with me and coming back for this week. Today we're talking about dehydrating your meals, and and it's more than just meals. A dehydrator has been one of the most game changers in my life. From everything from uh, camping food, snacks to breakfast on a regular basis. So, uh, in my notes, we're gonna jump straight into the hot topics today. It's gonna be a kind of a quicker, shorter episode because I can kind of ramble on a lot about food dehydration and the benefits of it, but I'm going to stick to the basics just to keep everyone in just in the same perspective. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information, but I want to give you what you need for the benefits of what you can do with it and the extremes that you can go with it. Uh One of the biggest benefits to dehydrating your own food is overall a better food selection. Uh, with When I say a better all food selection, I'm talking about sometimes when you go to your local, depending on where you're at, your REI, or if you're on a different side of the world, whatever equivalent outdoor store that you have, Walmarts or big box stores that sell dehydrated meals. Uh, the key factors with it is you don't know you have a better selection. You know what you like, and if as long as you can cook, this is where it really comes in. As long as you know how to prepare a proper meal, then you can definitely know that the meal that you are rehydrating is going to be good. There's no guesswork involved. You don't have to wonder with backcountry pantry or whatever it's called if they change their recipe and the biscuits and gravy start to just taste like chalk. You know exactly what you're getting when you're doing stuff like that. So the better food selection is a great thing. The next thing is there are no extra preservatives in your meal. Like I said, you know exactly what's going into it. There's no extra fillers. This is your recipe. If you have some dietary needs that you need to be strict with, uh, there it is. And if you know what you're doing, you can cook to your taste. You can have less salt, more pepper, make it as spicy as you want or as bland as you want. It's your choice. That's the best thing. But you know exactly there's no fillers, there's no preservatives. It's just all goodness, all goodness, all goodness. It's also a good way to store food when leftovers or just me personally, what I do once a month or once every couple months, I'll go to the farmers market and I'll pick up baskets of bell peppers and onions. And I dehydrate these bell peppers and onions, especially like during the wintertime, so I can have bell peppers and onions to make it through the winter. Which when you dehydrate your herbs and your vegetables, it makes it easier, especially for a camper like myself. If I want to go out, if I want to go out to the backcountry and say I want to keep a meal simple, okay, I'm going top ramen. Going top ramen. A package of top ramen costs you what, like 20 cents? So I take me a 20 cent pack of top ramen. I sprinkle me some bell pepper in there. I sprinkle me some onion in there. Do some little celery or something. Now all of a sudden I have a heartier cheap noodle meal, and it's works really great. Works really great. So that's one benefit to taking out your to having a dehydrator, being able to store your bigger meals. And you can't dehydrate everything, but there are things that you can dehydrate. We'll jump into that. If you are following along with me, you're a little behind. If you're following along with me, we'll get to this all in the list of things that you can actually properly prepare with a dehydrator. Makes great meals. It makes great things for the backcountry, especially snacks. You can make your own. You get if you get good at it, you could dehydrate your own fruits, vegetables, so you can make your own trail mix. You just have to buy the nuts. Then you can add in, you buy your nuts and your M&Ms if you go that route, or if you're just doing like granola and you want to throw some fruit in there. You can do all that stuff on your own, and it comes down to the amount of savings. Okay. So a package, Missouri prices, a package of beef jerky, one of the better brands, not the store brand, but one of the better known brands, will cost you, I don't know, about $5 or $7 for a few. Excuse me, that's popped up out of nowhere. You're paying about $7 just for a few ounces, versus going to get your if you're making beef jerky, you get your own whatever cut of beef that you want, and per ounce per weight at the end, you're going to benefit more off of making your own jerky. And again, you know exactly what's in it. No preservatives, no fillers, and all of that other good stuff. Meals that you can make at home that are great. Before we jump into that, Chris, yes, I do have a lot of e-bike adventures coming up. Uh, I haven't went out camping with the e-bike. The trip that I've taken this late winter was a actual backpacking trip. The trails were a little muddy, so I had to hump all of my gear in on my back, but it was still great. I enjoyed it. Uh, Bike trips that I have been on, or adventures that I have been on, I am during I'm doing a Missouri tour. I plan on hitting I have a 500-mile goal, and that 500 miles does not include the Katy Trail trip that I'm planning. But I have a 500-mile goal, and that consists of all of the state and local parks that I can put this bike on. So I'm going to get. I have every plan on hitting that goal of this year, and including the Katy Trail. Uh, I would love to get more people involved in the Katy Trail trip. I think that will be awesome if we do this 200 plus mile ride. If you have an e-bike, that would be even better because we can tell the story of the trail of the struggle of loss of power, wishing we needed more power, and all that other good stuff. Getting back into the list of everything you should need to know as far as why you should buy a dehydrator. Oatmeal is one of Oatmeal is the key reason why I started. Well, it was one of the key reasons. I was eating those Quaker instant oatmeals that come in many different flavors and varieties. And I felt that I was being cheated for the amount that I was paying. And what came, the little pieces of apple and strawberry, whatever, right? So, but the oatmeals, you can make a heartier oatmeal with a dehydrator. You know how you could have your specific amount of fruits or whatever you want to throw into it, your sugars, your cinnamon. You know exactly what's in there. It's to taste how you like to do it. I've worked on recipes with using regular water, regular waters if they make something different, but using water or using dehydrated milk. I have done it with both, and it's great. You just have to play with it at home before you get out in the field, and you'll be great. Best thing is you could put it in little sandwich baggies and have it, tuck it in your food storage, and you'll be great. The big one of the other biggest thing is your snacks, your jerkies, your turkey, chicken, beef jerkies, and whatever, and deer jerky if you're into that. You can dehydrate all of these snacks on your own. Also, one thing that's not on the list is fruit roll-ups. I have perfected the fruit roll-up, in my opinion. It works for me. I have perfected the fruit roll-up and jerky, and I take these on all of my trips. If you want to know the easiest, the easiest jerky to make off the bat is going to be beef jerky. Okay, the easiest fruit roll up to make is using applesauce to make a fruit roll up. That's going to be your easiest things to do there. So if you just want to know off the bat before you go down the rabbit hole of Google and YouTube trying to figure out how simple is it, uh, beef jerky is really simple, and apple fruit roll ups, really really simple. Also, pastas work really good when dehydrating, and they rehydrate the easiest. And this short list that I have of things are the things that I have worked with out of the many things that I've tried to dehydrate all sorts of things. And but these particular items are ones that rehydrate really well. So beef stroganoff, it's a really good thing to get into if you like it. Spaghetti is another. It's a really good thing to get into. Chili and chili mac. Okay, I have this on the list. I have worked with it, but it is definitely touch and go. Okay, and by touch and go, and further down the list, I have some notes of things to stay away from. But and I know that this is a kind of a contradictory of that. But chili, how I eat it, it does have beans in it. So the best way I have found when dehydrating cooked beans is that the sooner you eat it, the better. The sooner you rehydrate it, the better it is. The longer it goes, the harder it gets, and it just doesn't pop back the same way. So that is a thing. One caveat that I didn't put on the list before I keep going down. I'll put that in the notes. I'll keep going forward. So also, like I said, food storage, fruit, vegetables, your bell peppers, mushrooms, onions. I have there are certain techniques that you have to use to do certain things, such as mushrooms. You have to kind of do a little bit of prep work to those. Um, with blueberry, there are certain things that you have to prepare a little differently before you dehydrate them. But, keeping that in mind, there's uh tricks to everything. So there's a learning curve to this that we all have to, just deal with. But mushrooms, onions, more things that you can dehydrate with. And a lot of this stuff, uh when you're making simple meals, especially like soups and stuff, you can do this out in the field and it's great. Biggest benefit to dehydrating these sorts of things, you cut down on weight. And that is a very important thing when you are carrying this stuff on your back. Even if you were bike packing like I do, that is still more strain that you are putting on your bike. And you just don't want that if you don't have to, okay? So just, keep that in mind. The benefits, you can store your food. You could be out in the summertime. You don't have to worry about your vegetables going bad. You don't have and you're not dealing with the weight. Rodents you're still gonna have that problem with, but you're dealing with your fruits and your vegetables. You have stuff, you can make your soups. I have put together my recipe for I put together a few recipes. One thing I didn't add to the list, right? Uh, biscuits and gravy is one of those things that pops really well with the dehydrator. And I buy the biscuits, like the regular Pillsbury biscuits. You I just cook them, throw them in the oven, uh, let them do their thing, crumble them up, put them in the dehydrator, let them roll, and I just put those in a separate bag than I do then the mix to make the biscuits and gravy. But oh, man, it's one of those things that it's refreshing. It's something about it's a morale boost to have a decent meal in the morning. There's nothing there's there's nothing wrong with getting what's it, backcountry pantry or mountain house meals. There's nothing wrong with those meals. I think uh for the amount of money that you pay for them versus the portions that you get, I think it's a waste of money. I think you'll be better served getting a dehydrator, or even if you are into freeze dried things, getting the machine that for freeze drying stuff. You can go that route too. I haven't ventured that route as of yet. That cost a little bit more. Uh, in the notes, I have notes of things to stay away from, but also I want to talk about things to, you know, things that you have to learn. Definitely work with um get a system down before, if you're planning on camping. If you're just doing this at home, you can trial and error with that all day. But if you're planning on taking this out camping or something, make sure that you understand how it's going to rehydrate, what you're going to need to do it with. Things to stay away from. And people may have some different techniques. I find what works best for me. Stay away from dehydrating potatoes. They really don't bounce back. They don't bounce back. Beef chunks don't bounce back. It just basically turns into jerky. It never really comes back like real meat, per se. It just stays in a jerky form, just stays really chewy. Um, that's really that. And I kind of touched on the beans earlier. The earlier you get to a bean after to rehydrate it, it's better. The longer it goes, the harder it gets, and it just becomes stale after a while. My opinion. Rice is on this list only because you can make your own rice in the field. It doesn't take that long to make rice, and it doesn't, it doesn't take that long to make rice. And even if you got instant rice, 5 minute rice, whatever it's called nowadays, you can do that in a very very shorter time. So what else? So hopefully I gave you guys some good information there, and I'm hoping I hope I'm giving you some good information, and I'm giving you something to think about if you haven't already. So Chris, really quick, I know you're a few seconds behind me after I ask this question, but I'll wait for you. Um, have you tried to dry nuts yourself? Or do you feel that it's just more efficient to just to buy I mean, I guess if I had my growing up, quick story. So growing up, my grandmother had a pecan tree in her backyard. Grandmother My father was, well, he bounced around. He was born in Mississippi and bounced around. He's a southern boy basically, but in Memphis, my grandmother in her backyard, she had a pecan tree. Well, she had a whole garden, but the pecan tree is one of the things that I remember the most because every year, for Christmas, we would get a huge box of pecans, and I kind of miss that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm addicted to pecans now, and possibly maybe I should plant a pecan tree in my backyard. Because I also have a unnatural addiction to pecan pie. So, or do you guys say pecan pies? Whatever. So I do like certain sweets, but other than that, interesting, Chris. So when I first started backpacking, I took a lot of cans as well. Man, if I would have thought about that, I would have had one of those. I would have had it loaded up, man. If you would have My first, I think I talk about it a lot, but my first backpacking trip, I, uh, I, my first backpack that I considered a real backpack was a Marine ILBE backpack, which weighs 10 pounds by itself, and I had it loaded. It's a what is it? A 70 pound pack or not a 70 liter pack or something like that, or bigger. And I had a god awful amount of unnecessary belongings in this pack. I had some canned stuff. I went out there with way too much food. I had top ramen. Man, I had a bunch of just junk, and um, I really didn't eat that much. The trick, like the trail in there, I went, man. I punished myself often for whatever reason. Every time, uh, after the winter, cabin fever is setting in, and the first time they say it's going to be a certain temperature, it won't drop below freezing for 2 or 3 days in a row, I'm off to the races. And every time the trails, and by this time, even though it's warm out there, the ground, I mostly hit equestrian trails. Those tend to have the best campgrounds at the end of the rainbow. And the the trails tend to be harder. You've heard my story of hiking in ankle high mud, and if your pack is heavy, you sink a little bit lower than that. And that was what my first trip was about. I had an overweight pack. That pack weighed about 45 pounds. Most it was at least 25 pounds of crap. Um, and 10 pounds of it was just horrible. It was horrible. And I didn't even use most of the stuff. I plan on getting lost out there. I hear you, Mike. There is no rhyme or reason behind it. I don't know. I say it both ways. It just I didn't live. I've always lived in Missouri, but I kind of grew up in between Louisiana. That's where my mom is from. I bounced to Mississippi and Tennessee. That so I spent a lot of time in the South, also Arkansas in periods. So I bounced a lot in the South, and it's just depending on where I go, I kind of adapt to how they say it there. Uh, just like in Missouri, at least where I'm at here, in St. Louis, Missouri, they call soda soda, and depending on where you go, they say soda pop or just pop. I don't know, but we're kind of weird here, so I say pecan or I say pecan. It just depends on the company. No, Tom, you're never late to the party. We're kind of sort of because I was wrapping it up, but I'm glad you can join us though. Join the party. We were going over dehydrated foods, and the reason why you guys didn't see me last week because I went MIA and I looked at the stars. It was a beautiful night, and it was lovely. Not often do I get to play hook. Uh-oh, I shouldn't say that. Not often do I have to not be at work and get to go out in the wilderness. And I need to hit my reset button from time to time. Uh, hey, Mike, what good trails do you have in Georgia? I'm trying to do a 50 state tour, and I'm trying to figure out if I make it, where do I go? Who do I need to link up with so I can do some good fishing, some camping, and just overall living that one trail lifestyle? I know I keep promising you guys that I am going to do this whole. You can see my. Can you? No, can you? Yeah. So you can see the girl in the background. Um, I know I'm promising you guys the whole walk around upgrade and where I'm finishing off with the red. Uh, Also, I'm in the market for a new bike. Comment below what bike I should be looking at next. I am not brand for specific, and I'm not a snob towards any particular brand. I have a Rad now, and I can get away from Rad. I can get away from Rad, and I think I would prefer something other than a Rad, so I can just have a different perspective. So let me know what bike I should be looking at next. And a lot of you guys, if you found me, it was because of the Rad. So don't feel like I'm selling out on you guys. I'm not turncoating it. I'm just saying that eventually we all have to try something new, and I think I want a Class 3 bike. I want to have something that has a little bit more rip to it. But guys, that's going to do me for this week of the One Trail at a Time podcast. I will see you in the next one.